Hi, this is Brad, or Bread Wild, here in Southern California. We're going to take a flight in the F33 from Beechcraft. I put this in the category of a Mercedes 200 class. Beautiful airplane. And we're going to be trying out something I just downloaded, the reality pack from SimCoders. So it's got some interesting things that I want to explore with you. I also want to make this flight similar to one that I would have taken 45 years ago. When I was learning to fly back then, we didn't even have RNAV. So instrument approaches were either non-precision, and we would actually time them with a stopwatch. And times and descent rates were printed at the bottom of our Jepson charts. Well, those days are long gone. But I'm going to go ahead and do an instrument approach into Oxnard. But I'm just going to hand fly it using VORs and the ILS into Oxnard. So let's get started. So I've just been into the FBO and gotten my weather report and done some planning. Here's our Sky Vector map. By the way, Sky Vector has a cool new feature where if you click on the airport or hover over the airport, you can see the charts that are available. So we're going to be taking off here from Whiteman, Kilo Whiskey Hotel Papa, and headed over to Oxnard. Kilo Oscar X-Ray Romeo. And we'll look at the maps that are available. We're going to be flying the ILS approach into runway 25. So we're going to want to fly up to the Fillmore VOR, and then we will fly outbound on the 183 radial, which then will put us at the Hoopla intersection. So we'll be approximately 13 miles out at that point, and we want to be at 3,700 feet. Our runway is only 44 feet elevation. So we're quite a ways out at that point. So back to our map here, pull down the flight plan feature, and we will add this to our plan. So Whiteman, and we're going to just be flying out here to, well, we want the Fillmore VOR. So we'll add that to the plan, and then finally down to Oxnard. Not a real complicated flight, but one that will just allow me to do some hand flying and give us an interesting approach into Oxnard. So that's it for our map. We can always come back to it. All right, back to our airplane. By the way, I have socked in the airport. So we are, see the weather, I've got it down to Cat 1 and overcast at 1,200 feet. All right, let's take a look at some of the features that come with the reality pack. Climb into our airplane. Notice the additional menu over here when you activate the plugin. So we've got what they're calling the knee board with our checklists on it, normal operations, emergency, and so on. By the way, it also comes with the actual manual in PDF form for a little bedtime reading. And then there is a walk around, always a good thing. We used to have a saying called kick the tires, light the fires, but we're going to try to be a little bit more diligent in our pre-flight. And then there's a feature here called the maintenance hangar, and it shows you the status of many of the mechanical components of the airplane and the status. And I'm sure that if there was a problem here, this would be less than green and we could go ahead and fix it. So here's our electrical panel, and then tires, landing gear, brake, and so on. And then finally we have this weight and balance chart, so we can put people in the seats, add baggage, fuel, and so on, and go ahead and apply it. So let's take our walk around, and not quite sure, turn the toe off. Not sure how that works. All right, well, let's start with our walk around. And when you get the walk around, here's a little chart, and it shows you some of the things that you need to be checking: parking brake, avionics, and so on. All of this stuff is off. It shows us starting in the cockpit. You don't want to be walking around the airplane with things turned on. Again, more things to check inside of the cockpit. It says you can click on the baggage door handle to open it or close it. There we go. And we want to make sure that static pressure button is the red circled sensor behind the baggage compartment door, and that would be here. And we'll go ahead and check the elevator surfaces. We used to actually grab the elevator and lift it up and down. Check position light. You can actually wiggle it. Again, you can check the rudder. Check the tie downs. We're going to go ahead and remove them. This is the cabin air intake. Again, we have the static pressure button. Check the antennas. We can check our flaps and the aileron. Remove another tie down. Remove the pitot tube cover. That would be a disaster. Remove the chocks. Just checking the landing gear. We can remove our covers here. Remove our chock. Toggle our tie down. Check the aileron. You're getting the full deal here. There we go. I guess you just do it once and it covers all of them. Yep, I think we're good. So now we can pull up our checklist and get things started. I wanted to show you one more thing that I forgot before I light the fires. Under their settings dialog, you can enable things like plane damages, failure messages, tips, and so on. I think I'll turn that one on. So I just wanted you to see that. So let's get our checklist up here. And page 1. Here we go. I'm just going to quickly go through this stuff. I assume that it's all taken care of. Let me make sure my parking brake is on, which it is not. There we go. And we can turn on our alternator switches here. Let's see, I've got a view set for that. Turn on our beacon. Over to the next page. Our mixture full rich. There we go. Boy, that is a sensitive little thing. Propeller high. Throttle open. Auxiliary fuel pump on until the fuel flow peaks, then off. Now it's interesting, you can't really see that without the radios on. There's a switch here. So I don't know if that's a Coronado thing or what. But we flip this up and we just wait for it to peak. And then you can turn it off again. Throttle open a bit. There we go. And then we can, just before we start, this goes back to my training days, you yell clear out the window, just in case. And then we can go ahead and start our engine. There we go. So we want our throttle about 1200. So we're a little... There we go. Check our oil pressure. Looks good. Alternator switch on. Check and charging. That looks good. All engine indicators look good. Starter energized light. It's off. Alright, so we can... Well, we already have our avionics on. Flaps up, brakes release and check. Brake lights as required. We'll go ahead and just turn on our taxi light for now and our nav lights. Our post lights are all on. Let's pull up our map and check our frequency. That's 112.5. So we can set that here. And you can see already that it's dialed in. So we'll just center it for now, but we'll have to recenter it after we take off. And just double check our checklist. Alright, and we'll run up our engine out at the runway. Alright, we're ready to taxi. We're going to be taxiing out to the end of... Let's take a quick look at our map again. I want to take a look at the airport layout for Whiteman. So we're parked right here and we're going to be taxiing over to runway 12 and taking off to the southwest. Then we'll circle on around and head towards our VOR at Fillmore. Just to give you a quick idea of where we're going, headed out in that direction. Park brake off. Little power. I don't know if there's a run-up area. Get kind of a bird's eye view, yeah. We'll just pull over to the right here. We're reporting no wind. Normally you turn about 45 degrees into the wind, see if the engine cool. There we go. Pull up our checklist again. Alright, so propeller to 1700. And we want to see if our prop comes down. Not really seeing that. Well, I hope that's just an X-plane Coronado thing. See what happens when we check our magnetos. Should see a slight drop. Back up, down to the left one. Drops a little bit, back to both. And we can come back on our power. That is a very sensitive checklist, I have to say. So we're going to take off with 1 notch of flaps. Just check our mixture and we're ready for takeoff. Alright, let's get this bird off the ground. Kind of scary. So I've got a notch of flaps here. Need landing lights. We don't need our taxi lights. We can put on our strobe. Nav lights. So we are ready. Put my yoke back. Notice this has one of, well, they both come off the same center shaft there. Kind of interesting. Alright, here we go. Squeaky brakes. Oh, for a set of rudder pedals. So one of the things in a single engine that you're concerned about on takeoff is that P factor. Because I don't have rudder pedals, I can't stand on anything. So hopefully we'll be able to get this off the ground without too much trouble. Alright, we've been cleared for takeoff. Yeah, it's pulling. Alright, full throttle. Wow, that just came right off the ground. The nose down. Gear up. Pick up a little speed. So we're beyond the end of the runway. We can begin our turn. And we got enough altitude and speed. I can put up our flaps. So we're turning back towards our VOR. Come back on our prop as well, 2500. Coming back over the airport as we get into the soup. Get our needle lined up here on our VOR. Come back on our power. Get the airplane trimmed out here. I don't think this plane has rudder trim. I did not see the wheel. So we're climbing to 5,500 feet. That'll get us over the mountains. And we are 22 miles from the VOR according to our DME. A lot of wind noise due to that reality pack. So I'm being warned about full throttle climb. A little bit of wind. Look out over the nose. And we're at coming up on 5,500. So I tell you what, I'm going to get back to you as we get to our VOR. Just trimmed out here. Again, hand flying, no autopilot. So I'm relying on trim, keep things steady. So back to you in 18 miles. So 7 miles to go. We're at 5,500 feet. Needle's just about centered. I'm going to see if I can show you the map without getting myself into a jam here. So our map here, instrument approach, we're going to be taking this 183 radial and intercepting the runway 25, frequency 108.7. So when we cross the VOR, I'm going to turn my needle to point at 183. It gets a little harder chasing the needles as you get closer to your VOR. It's a lot more sensitive. So I can actually anticipate it by setting and turning about a mile ahead. By the way, I have the SkyMax Pro 3, but I turned off the real weather so that I can dial in some soup. So right now, this little arrow is pointing to the VOR, so as we pass over it, it will flip the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and, descending, don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this to 183 and begin my turn. The needle, or the little triangle has flipped. And we'll just fly and pick up that. There comes our needle. We'll just center that. And we can begin our descent now to 3,700. We have 9 miles to do that. That's where we want it. Yes, I know. So we want to intercept the localizer at 3,700 feet. And again, we're flying outbound on that 183. Again, just hand flying. Don't have to descend as quickly as I was. Yes, I know, the gear is up. Very annoying. So when I get closer, I'm going to flip my frequency to the localizer. Pull my radio up here. Got another 4 miles or so. Our runway is 25, so I will turn the needle to that heading, just as a helpful guide. Alright, we're coming up on our altitude here. So I'm going to go ahead and flip our frequency and turn this to 25. And wait for that needle to come across. Oops, got a little low there. You can see the guide slope, the two little yellow triangles. Little trim here, get back up to altitude. We're still under the guide slope, so we're going to be flying into it. And there comes our needle. Nice slow gentle turn. Well, I missed my target altitude. And our guide slope is, our little flags are starting to descend. This is a tricky aircraft to get these lined up with. Whoops. Taking a check around here. This is a little better angle. Power here. So we're right at our guide slope and beginning a very slow descent, about 500 feet per minute. Come back on the power a little bit. Get that localizer lined up. Use trim here. About 500 feet per minute. Don't want to be chasing the needles. Come back on my power. Whoops. Trying to figure out what's going on with this engine. I don't know if it's the reality pack or what, but maybe it's just a light turbulence. Yeah, my vertical speed is jumping around quite a bit. There's our outer marker. I'll put my gear down and notch the flaps. There, our needle's just about centered. Put my prop to high. Another notch of flaps. So now we're just looking for a runway. So our guide slope looks pretty good. We're just a tad below it. Watch my airspeed. Get lined up again. Trying to get my, sorry about that, trying to get my power setting correct. Oh, that was sloppy. Watch that guide slope. Well, I see the rabbit. So hitting the wrong button on my joystick. little low. It was a little sloppy. Nasty brakes. And we'll just taxi over here to the terminal. Put our flaps up. All right, we just can shut this guy down. Engine's running a little low there. So radio's off. And we can turn our lights off. And throttle back all the way. And there we go. Now I suppose we could go around the aircraft and do our go around and put things back in place. Did I miss something? Nope. Thought there was a tie down. Yep, tie down here. Wish you could do all this at once, but you probably couldn't do that in reality. So all right, I think we're all tied down. And made it in without too many embarrassing mistakes. I guess probably the biggest issue I have is being able to look around in the cockpit. And I know that you can use track IR, but I have not had great luck with it, probably because I fly in a dimly lit room so that I can see the screen. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to get a few more keys mapped to some views. But anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know what your comments are and where I messed up and where I could do better. Thanks.